So unfortunately, in my system, there's no provision to display the PowerPoint. So I will just make some verbal presentation. And today's topic is on servant leadership. There are many multifarious models of leadership, many theories in leadership. Theories and models, they serve the same purpose. And servant leadership is one of those very relevant theories or models in leading a faith-based non-profit organization like ISKCON. Now, the Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 500 corporations, they have different methodologies, or they use different approaches in terms of the leadership models. Even families are run based on a specific leadership model. That's how the whole world operates. Political leadership is different stuff. But today our focus is on servant leadership. Now we find in the Vedic literature that servant leadership is very predominant. We find the case of Lord Ramchandra and Lakshman. Lakshman was serving his brother, Lord Ramachandra, like a minion servant. And in our all devotional conceptualizations, is based on servant leadership. Dasa, dasa, anudasa. And that is servant leadership. We want to be servants. But do we just want to be servants, or we are servants by nature? By default, we are servants. So, there is an option there. We either choose to serve the Antaranga Shakti, or we serve the Bahiranga Shakti. We serve the internal energy of the Lord. That is, say for instance, in devotional service, we can do services here in ISKCON, on a proper shelter, or we can serve the illusory energy. So now we have a choice. So it's not like something impository. The Prabhupada will say sometimes that Krishna consciousness is not an imposition on the mind. So servant leadership, it is important to note that as servant leaders, we have to emulate other servant leaders. For instance, we know the case of Prithvi Maharaj. Prithvi Maharaj will provide for the needs of his constituency before even his family. So sometimes people talk about, I was speaking about servant leadership with some of Prabhupada disciple and the Guru in Mayapur. And he said something. And then I quickly interjected and said, no. I said, no, servant leadership, you don't know about it because it's so detailed. And if we follow servant leadership model, our society could be like a Goloka on this planet. So, we'll go to the qualities of a servant leader. But before then, we need to understand that this is not something abstract. It's not something strange. It is something we're practicing in our families. It is something we're practicing in our relationships with friends, in our relationship with spouses. Even with ordinary friends, we serve each other. You serve your friends. If you're girls, you have girlfriends, you serve your friends, especially when they come to you. So we are by nature servants. I raised this issue. I wrote a dissertation, a thesis on servant, on being a servant in my master's program. I did my master's in education and philosophy with a major in critical and creative thinking. And so there was some essay that we have to develop at some point in time when I'm talking about servant leadership. And even the non-academic staff who were like secretaries in the office of these professors. I remember one day, one of these ladies, I went there to do some things, and then she came there. She came appreciating what I was talking about. But he said, "Oh, Vasudeva, what he's saying is so true." But it's something that you can relate with. It's not something abstract. Leadership is not something abstract. Management is not something abstract. It's something we can relate with. You know, like you're doing statistics or organic chemistry. No, they are things that we see and we can relate with. So, for instance, the breadwinner in the home is having the whole family. Whether we like it or not, we are servants. You work so hard. You go get even three PhDs. But for what? To serve your family, to serve your constituency, to serve your community. Oh yeah. Even the president of this country, what is his name? Ramaphosa? Is that correct? He is serving the whole of South Africa. You may argue that, the politicians, they're very corrupt, they're stealing money and all this. But they actually came up with advocacy that, vote me into power. I was serving this way and serving that way and all this stuff. So, the parent thinks that I am in control. But actually, they are serving the children. They work so hard to serve the children. Provide for their needs, provide for their food, housing, clothing, schooling. So we are servants. Let's accept in principle that we are servants. So as young men and women growing up in Krishna consciousness, would you like to dovetail your service attitude in Krishna consciousness or something else? That is purely up to you. And so, some of us joined the movement when we were pretty young. I joined when I was 25, 26. And that time we have so much of energies to be able to serve. Tirelessly. So, one may argue that, because of my school or because of my work, I'm not able to have time to really serve Prabhupada's mission. Now, I was speaking with a German audience yesterday, and some of these issues, they came up, we were talking about, it was a very vibrant, enthusiastic audience, mostly young people, from 16 to age 30. And most of them were in medical school. So one of the things that we were addressing was how to balance their profession, their career, with their devotion. And sometimes it could be so difficult. Then I explained to them, look, if someone tells you that it's pretty easy to do this balancing, they've not tried it. It is very challenging. And why is this challenging? Because in calculus, how many of you have done calculus? Good. Okay. So in calculus, the foundation of calculus is integration. Is that correct? Yeah. And integration, is it easy? No, it's not easy. In fact, calculus in general is very difficult. And the very foundation of calculus is integration. And here, when we're talking about balancing career and devotion, they ask you to do integration. And it's not easy. It has never been easy. Integration has never been easy since its inception. So we're trying to do that here. I explained to them. It's not going to be easy, but you need some strategies to be able to navigate through the challenges. So servant leadership is something that we can easily identify in society because we are serving. In the universities, in most cases, students, they help their professors, especially the one who are toppers. The professor even appoints them as, assistant teacher. And they do all of this to help the professor. That is a form of service. And sometimes our parents ask us to do some things for them. That is also a form of service. And in general, in devotional service, service is the core element. The difference is that that service has to be imbued with love and devotion to Krishna. And this is exactly what Krishna mentioned. He didn't require so much from us. He said, if even you are offering me a simple thing like a leaf, a flower, water, fruit, patam, puspam, phalam kriya, what did he say? Your me bhakti. Panashit. It has to be tinged with love. And he accepts. He said he will accept. Once it's tinged with love, finish. So service is there, and devotional service, the emphasis is on love. Offering our services to Krishna, offering our services to Prabhupada, offering our services to the spiritual master with love. And therefore, the element of love is indispensable in our service attitude to Krishna, in our service attitude to Srila Prabhupada's mission, and in our service attitude to the devotees around us. Because we are not seeing Prabhupada, we are not seeing Krishna. Women say, well, I see deities every day. Good for you. But in general, we are Krishna. Yes, Krishna is there, but we are not able to see him. So he makes it very easy for us to come and then see him in the form of the deity. But Krishna is there, even in our hearts. Are we seeing him? Now, if we perform these services with love and devotion, our hearts can become purified. Our eyes could be anointed with the salve of love, and we'll be able to perceive Krishna everywhere. So there are so many positive side effects of devotional service. And we just have to understand that we need to make out some time out of our busy schedule. Everybody in this world is apparently busy. But prioritization of the core needs of our daily life is what matters. Depending on what we prioritize, we give attention to it. So, if Krishna consciousness is something you can think of as a major priority in your life, then we need to integrate sadhana bhakti or Krishna consciousness practices or services in our busy schedule. And so, we have people who have done that, professionals who have done that. One of them is Bhakti Thakur. Bhakti Thakur was a judge in Puri. He was also the person in charge of the Puri temple. And he had a big family. Who knows how many kids he had? Over 10 kids. That's not a good example for us, but just to show you that there are people who have done this integration perfectly well in our parampara system. And so, we don't say, well, Bhaktivinoda had more than 10 kids, I should also have more than 10 kids. No, these days, even one kid to take care of is a problem. So, we understand that servant leadership is not something strange. We see that in everyday reality. And what I intend to do right now is just to go through some characteristics and core principles of servant leadership. Now, for us to be servant leaders, we must have the attitude to serve. First we serve, and then we can be the leaders. And to serve means serving in your family, serving your parents, serving your siblings, serving other devotees, serving the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. Performing, having to do some service. In most temples that I've been to, especially in America, most of the services, even festivals like all this Ratha Yatra, they are organized by the Pandava Sena group. Sunday feast, they are organized by the Pandava Sena, they are organized by the youths. And what makes it juicy is that they're very, very enthusiastic to perform all of these services. Because service to Krishna is susukam avyayam. It's juicy. And so it might not be juicy in the beginning, but if we are persistent and consistent in executing the services that we have taken responsibility for, we find that they become part and parcel of our life and we become joyous. I mean, it's like somebody who is chanting every day. The day that he or she runs into a problem, they are not able to chant early in the morning, they're very restless because it has become part of their blood. It's part of their daily activities. And so, being a servant leader implies that we are empathic and we are good listeners. Empathy means that we put ourselves in the shoes of other people. This person is passing through this problem. What if I were the one in this position? How will I feel? What would be my expectation from people around me? And so, evaluating the situation and based on that, we act accordingly to jump in to help that person. We don't tell people, hey, you know what? This problem you have is because of your karma. I remember one young lady. She was at the time a university student, and so she wrote me asking how to respond to friends who are having some challenges, suffering, passing through some difficulties. Is it good? Is it okay to tell them, to just preach to them that, this is your karma, you just have to tolerate and pass through? I said, no, we don't preach like that. You don't tell people that this is your karma. Huh? We have to be empathic. We put ourselves in their shoes and see how we can motivate them, give them some emotional support to be able to navigate through the challenge. So empathy is a good tool in trying to be a servant leader. And listening. In most cases, people who are in power, they don't listen to any goddamn person. Why? Because they feel that they know everything. But nobody knows everything. I keep telling people, okay, or you may say, Vasudev Das, you have a PhD, you know everything. No, I don't know everything. Even the PhD is just a small field in the management domain. We have a management domain and we have different specializations. And so PhD in, say, leadership and organizational change or applied management and decisions is a small aspect of the domain of management. So how can I say I know everything? I don't know economics, for instance, to a great degree. I know about organizational leadership and organizational change. I know about decisions, how to make proper decisions so as to impact positively on individuals who are involved in that scenario, their lives. But I'm not, for instance, an epidemiologist or a psychotherapist or a brain surgeon. So let's be frank. It's good for you to understand these things so that when you grow up, when you finish all of your skills development and then you're put in a powerful position, say in a Fortune 500 company, you can implement some of these principles in creating a better rapport between the manager or the CEO with the workers. So, a servant leader is a good listener. In fact, these are some of the qualities that we'll find even in the Vedic literatures. That the king, they have the power, but they are good listeners. They listen to the intelligentsia or to the Brahmins who they take advice from. They may not know everything. So the Brahmins come to advise them. This case, you have to deal with like this. Or this is the situation here, so we should be addressing this way. And they follow it up. Modern days, it is very difficult to get people to be good listeners. In some cases, even in our families, we don't listen to anybody. We think either my way or the highway. You're my child. What do you know? Shut up there. It hasn't got to be like that. We should be practical. That we don't know everything. See, I can cite an example in ISKCON. So we have this conception that, once you are a devotee, Christian, you know everything. Isn't it? You have imbibed this type of idea, right? You know Krishna, you know everything. How will you explain that to just some mundane person? That just because you chant Hare Krishna, you know everything. How is that? Okay, I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 40 years. I don't know everything. No. Let's be sincere to ourselves. And therefore, if you are a team leader, try to be a good listener. Because when we adopt the principle of synergy in leading people as servant leaders, we understand that the contribution of different talents makes a higher performance. They said, common adage is that two heads are better than one. Just because I'm older than you doesn't make me better off than you. So, and this even applies to our team members and even our own children. Don't think your child is a blank slate. Even in devotional service. I'm saying this because, see, I've seen in ISKCON, I've seen someone giving, I remember when I was doing a Bhakti Vasudeva program in Mayapur. And then there was this senior devotee who was giving a lecture. I don't remember the very topic. But there was a Guru Koli boy in that class. And then a question and answers, he asked some question. And then the lecturer, he said, "You're a small boy. What do you know?" That could be very inappropriate. And so, a servant leader is a good listener. They don't claim that they know everything. Because they know, if even they are specialized, if even suppose you have even 3 PhDs, you don't know everything. And Krishna is unlimited. We are so limited. How can we claim that we know everything because we are so limited and Krishna is unlimited? So even devotionally, we cannot claim to know everything. I'm saying this. I've seen a lot of things in this movement for the past 40 years, and I want to be able to guide my mentees, my students, my friends on a proper path so that they can be vigilant in how they navigate through the devotional process and in their career. So servant leadership equips us with qualities such as being a good listener and not claiming that, well, I know everything. Humility. Humility is one of the qualities of a Brahmin. But sometimes we miscue the concept of humility. Huh? We think that humility means you just close your eyes and let people shit on your head. It's not like that. Humility also means that, we place the needs of others before ours. And we are not driven by ego or a desire for personal recognition. You see, sometimes we act as if we are humble, but then we are desiring personal. This is psychological things, subtle impurities. We're desiring for personal recognition. See, I'm a Swami, I'm a guru, I have a PhD. I'm so great. So we shouldn't think also that because I've taken initiation and everybody else is inferior to me. Oh, it happened very much with some devotees. This is very dominant in some of the countries, especially in Asian countries, where people think that, oh, because I'm putting on a saffron cloth, so I'm better than anybody else. No, no one is better than anyone. What Krishna is looking at is our bhav in the service. Krishna is bhavagrahi Janandan. He's not looking at our external, operational values, how we are trying to become, we're looking for self-recognition. No, Krishna is not interested in all of these stuff. And so, humility is a watchword. Humility also implies that we are able to learn from even our own children. Stewardship and integrity. So the servant leader is a responsible steward of resources and people, demonstrating honesty and ethical values, ethical behavior. It's sometimes we find people who are teaching ethics, and they are not ethical themselves. I give you an example. Yes. Yeah, I got you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that question. Yeah. You see, sometimes we live in a devotional community, and then I remember one boy in India, he stopped going to the temple. Why? He's a student. He stopped going to the temple, and his reason was that each weekend he goes to the temple, all the brahmacharis, they just leave all their services on him. He said he has to read. So he experienced this, so he stopped going to spend the weekend at the temple. How to avoid this type of things is that you have to have a boundary. Set a boundary. So, for instance, someone asks you, Govindalila, can you do this? Can you do this? Be frank with yourself. Look at your workload, your service load. If you don't have the time, tell them that, Prabhu or Mataji, I'm fully, my hand is full right now. Maybe some other time I can help. But right now, I have more than what I can chew. We should be able to evaluate what we are capable of doing and too much of excesses so that we don't also make people believe or depend on us and then we disappoint them at the final stage. So we should be very much good in self-assessment of our capacity and what we have at hand, what we are able to do. And because, for instance, the balancing is required. Say that you're a worker or you're a student, and you have to also do some service in the temple. So you have to see how you're able to balance all of this. But then if somebody comes to tell you, you do this, yes, ma'am. You do this, yes, Mataji. You do this, yes, Prabhu. You collect all of this, huh? And then you find out you don't have the time. You don't have the time to do this, all of this together. So you draw a boundary. I remember one of my god sisters in Washington, D.C. She's an elderly lady, and then she has to go like, within the week, she has to go like 3 temples to do deity worship. I told her, listen, you are getting old. You're not getting younger. You need some time to be able to put yourself together. Choose to do something, and the rest period that you have, you can use it to do, say, direct services for yourself, or reading or chanting. But you drive from one place to the other, far away places. The temples are far spaced. I said, you're draining yourself so much that, we lack people, so at least preserve some of the energies. So we have to see what is practical for us. I mean, it's like if somebody wants to work, he wants to get money. Okay, good for you. But then you want to do 4 works, 4 jobs at the same time because of money. When you break down, the cost may be more than the money you're getting from those jobs. So we have to set boundaries. Okay. All right. So we're talking about integrity and stewardship. Integrity is a very important element because it is a tool for generating trust. If if someone has integrity, you can trust them. If someone has no integrity, how are you going to trust them? And so a servant leader must be imbued with integrity. As a devotee, everybody should be imbued with integrity. Otherwise, what makes the difference between, the devotee and Trump? Before this stuff. Okay, so we go to the next element, a commitment to growth. The servant leaders are responsible stewards of resources and people, and they demonstrate honesty and ethical behavior. That is integrity. Commitment to growth. Servant leaders are dedicated to developing and empowering their team members, fostering a culture of learning and growth. If there is no empowerment, there cannot be sustainable growth. And if there is no sustainable growth, there cannot be high performance. So high performance is subsumed in commitment to growth. High performance is subsumed in commitment to growth. If people are committed to the development of the community, they want to make some sacrifices. They want to go outside of their comfort zone to help out with services. And when we come to this moment, or even at best every sphere of our existence, the foundation is that of service. So we need to be committed to growth, not just serving, but we should think about the growth. And not just growth, rapid and sustainable growth. So what we do, we have to ask ourselves, will they facilitate rapid and sustainable growth in my community, in my organization, in my family? Sometimes people are just satisfied with maintenance. I remember when I was young as a president, Bhakti Swami would write and say, Vasudeva, all of the collection of all these donations, this is just maintenance culture. He said, this is maintenance culture. Innovate. Innovation was his watchword. And it was very difficult for us to understand what does it mean? No, everybody else is, bringing up the temple with collecting, especially. I remember during Janmashtami, we will collect donations that for burger and everything else that will serve the temple for like 8 months. We don't collect, we don't tell people to go and cook something and bring to the temple. We say we want bags, rice bags, beans bags, dal bags. And these big industrialists, one person will volunteer. No, I want to sponsor the whole Janmashtami. And so we collect all of these big donations, fill up the one room, the burger room filled up to the brim, and he comes and says, Vasudeva, this is Maya. This is maintenance culture. Breathe, innovate. So the servant leader is interested in commitment to growth. That's the point. Foresight and awareness. Servant leaders have a vision for the future. They are not just satisfied with the present here and there. They will commit a vision for the future. And their strengths and weaknesses. They identify their strengths and weaknesses as well as the strengths and weaknesses of their team members. Even when you have a child, for instance, you should be able to identify what are the things that your child is good at. You should check their record, their books, what are the subjects that they excel in and all this stuff. Sometimes parents send their kids to school. I remember when I was a kid, you come back from school, hey, hey, bring your books, let's see what you did today. Yeah. So then you are forced to be very serious with your academic work. As a child, this was how we were grown. Even when I became involved in devotional service, my Guru Maharaj will come and we check all the records. We check how many devotees you made, past 6 months. Yeah, how many books you distributed? What services did you do? So I had that type of mindset. And then when we were doing things like, Food for Life and all this stuff, going for Sankirtan on the street, offices, and all these things we were doing. So, but then he was very satisfied. He was very happy. And I was posted to another temple, which was close to a federal university because he wanted me to preach in the colleges to the professors. And so I was doing the same things the service I was doing, Food for Life, on the street, Sankirtan, going out with devotees for Harinam and all this stuff. And then I sent in a report. Every month we used to send a report to the spiritual master about what services we have done for the past month. And then he wrote back to me to say, Vasudeva, all the things you mentioned in this, your report is good. And all the things you mentioned in this report, any devotee in this ISKCON can do it. He said, any devotee in this ISKCON can do it. You go and preach to the professors. It was like a bomb. At that time, I was not even having a master's degree or a PhD. And he says, go and preach to the professors. What am I going to do? So, but then, I believe in one thing, that service, perfection of service comes with empowerment. So I just yielded. I just began to contemplate on how to strategize and move on with this. Then, prior to that, I used to write for tabloids, magazines, and daily newspapers as a columnist, addressing different issues using the Vedic perspective. So then I thought, okay. And then one of my friends, he told me, just transfer all of your skills into the academy. So that's how, the first time I went to be able to execute that type of instruction from the Guru, I went to academic conference. I was not having a master's degree, I was not having a PhD. I went to academic conference. I made a presentation. And the professors, they so much liked it. But then the problem is that, when the devotees, everybody knew I was not having those big degrees to go and do those type of stuff. So when the guru, because I used to send reports to the guru, then I continued doing that. So I used to send reports to the guru. And the guru started, eulogizing me and praising the things I was doing. And then, every of the brahmacharis, they just think, this Vasudeva, he's just tricking us, maybe. Where did he get these skills? So, there's it. Listen, devotees, the management even sent someone to go and investigate me, whether you should hear this. They would send someone to go and investigate me, whether I was just bluffing that I'm going to academic conferences or not. So then, listen, when one devotee, I actually trained him up. So he went with me. They asked that guy to come and investigate me. And he went with me to one conference, a federal university. And during we have panel programs. So similar topics have the same panel on a panel chair. So then the professors who are in those fields, they have to sit in that hall and listen to the panelists. So I made my presentations. My presentation that day. Other professors made the presentations. And during the question and answers, I think 3 professors, they asked some questions. That guy, that devotee, was sitting among the professors. They dressed in mufti too. And the professors, they were asking some questions. And then they will address me as, this question is for Dr. Das, because my name is Vasudeva Das. They said, I didn't put anything on my paper. They have to share the paper to all of the professors there. I didn't write any degrees on my paper because I'm not having the higher degrees. So then they will say, this question is for Dr. Das. 3 professors addressed me as Dr. Das. When we finished the conference, we went to the temple. And then this devotee told the people who asked him to go and investigate me, they said, you guys have not seen anything. Even the professors, they address him as Dr. Das. So the point is that for those of you who have spiritual masters already, when you're asked to do some service, understand that request is also encapsulated with empowerment. I've seen that. I'll give you a vivid example in our own movement. Prabhupada, first time he met Bhakti Siddhanta, he told him, whenever you have money, print books in English and go spread the message of Krishna consciousness to the English-speaking population. So when Bhakti Siddhanta was ill, terminally ill, so Prabhupada sent him a message. That time he was a grihastha. Prabhupada sent him a message and made some inquiries also about what service do you want me to do? You are living, what service should I be doing? I'm just an ordinary grihastha. And then he repeated the same thing he told him when the first day they met. So Prabhupada thought, okay, this is my commission on the planet. And he came to America with how much? To start an international movement. How much? You remember? How many rupees? 40 rupees. 40 rupees can't really buy a good meal now, even in India. But that's what he came to the West with. And because he was empowered by following the instructions of the spiritual master, he established this Krishna consciousness. Another example, Subal, one of Krishna's intimate friends, one of his sakas, one time they were in the groups, and Krishna, all of a sudden, he just spontaneously, he said, hey Subal, go and bring Radharani just now. I mean, it's like asking someone to do the impossible. Because Radharani is being guided by the in-laws. The mother-in-law and the sister-in-law, they guide like security. Now, Subal could have just turned to Krishna and said, hey, Buddha, what is this? You know this is not possible. You asking me to do this. No, he didn't. He didn't say that. He also recognized Krishna as the Supreme Lord, not just his friend. He playing around, sleeping on Krishna's laps. But he also recognized that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And this guy, he can do anything. So he's asking me to do this. So he just zoomed out without no plans. He wanted to execute Krishna's order. And Krishna gave him intuitive empowerment. He developed some idea. And what is the idea? He thought, okay, I will go meet Jatila. She must be at the gate, and I'll tell her that I missed my cows. And seek for permission to go to their barn to check if my cows strayed to their barn. So he went to the gate, he met Jatila, and he told her exactly what he had generated from his thoughts. And Jatila warned him, just go quickly and come out quickly. So he went to the barn and picked up a calf. No, he went straight to, no, he went to the barn, picked up a calf, and then he went to Radharani's chambers. He met all of these gopis, friends from Radharani, Vishwanath Chakravarti. He gave this, documented this pastime. This is one of the there were 4 pastimes that he characterized as tricks. There's specific language he used. I don't remember. But so Subal went to the Radharani chambers, and all these Radharani's friends and Radharani, they were so shocked. How did we enter this place? So he told Radharani that Krishna wants you right now. And then Radharani exclaimed that, come on, you know this is not practical. So he said, I have an idea. We change clothes. Take my dhoti. I take your sari. And this calf, put on your chest. When you're going out, don't speak to that old lady. Don't speak anything. Just go out straight. And that's what happened. And so the purport here, we're talking about empowerment. Krishna asked Subal to do almost the impossible. But because he had faith in Krishna's words, he went ahead to do it. Krishna empowered him, executed it very, very successfully. So services might be built, might be challenging sometimes, but we should have an understanding that we can make it by the mercy of Lord Krishna. And especially as servant leaders, we don't have the strength to do anything. We are serving Krishna. Krishna can use us to do anything. So I'll give you again a very gross example. On the 29th of March last month, I made 5 research academic papers. I made 5 academic presentations in one day at Oxford. 5. So you ask any of your professors, is it possible? They will say no. So, as servant leaders, you could be empowered beyond your jurisdiction, beyond your expectation, beyond your powers. It's a matter of having the proper mindset and aligning with the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, Lord Krishna, and our immediate authorities. So foresight and awareness. Yeah, I mentioned that. And the point is that we can be empowered, but we should also identify our weaknesses. We should not jump into fire and say, well, I'm empowered, We should identify our strengths and weaknesses so that we can take advantage to do what is expedient, what is the needful in an expedited way for sustainable growth. Building a community. What does a community mean to you? As servant leaders, we want to build communities. But what does community mean? Yes. Anyone can help us? What is your understanding of community? Yes. Family. Yes. That's a good point. Yes. Anyone else? What's your name? Ketan. Yes. You have to help us? You say something? What does community mean to you? Yes, to go close to yourself and family. Yes, anyone else? Yes, please. Sure. Yeah. Community implies that we have a group of people, they have a common purpose, common vision, common goals. So we are a community. Our society is an international community. Our temples, local temples, they are communities. And see, the root word of community comes from two words: commune and unity. Commune means empathic communication. We speak to somebody putting ourselves in their shoes. If they are in that position, if they receive this type of communication, how would they feel? And unity means coming together to do something. Because coming together to do something creates a synergy, which implies the result of that very product will be higher if we come together to do it than individuals doing that same thing and bringing the results of those individuals together. This is the foundation of the Krishna movement. Lord Chaitanya inaugurated this movement based on synergy. He said, come together and chant. That is synergy. So the Krishna consciousness movement was founded on the basis of science. Servant leaders need to know this. Okay? And therefore, we have to understand that the family is a microcosm of the society. The family is a microcosm of the community, of the society, of the nation. So we can't say we are wonderful community builders when our families are fragmented, when there is chaos in our family. I mean, it's like, I like talking about my president, Trump. Trump is trying to take over Greenland and trying to take over Canada. But in America, there's so much of turmoil. So, we have to be community-oriented because we are all parts and parcels of Krishna. Mama even so, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta, Sanatana. A servant leader is characterized, one of the characteristics is that they are community-oriented because they see each and every one as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, one family. Therefore, they are eager to serve other devotees. In fact, if we can just extend our mercy to other devotees around us, understanding that these are the same people who will be available when I'm leaving the body, we can do a lot of justice in building a varied society and create a sustainable future. We cannot do anything in terms of progressive march without inculcating the principles of servant leadership. And so building a community is so important that we can think of the family as a micro-community and invest our energies in trying to become good servant leaders in the family to create a sustainable future. Because whatever that is in the family is what we see in the bigger community. I remember one country, I was doing some research and then publishing. So I had all these complaints from some justices and lawyers. Oh, this country is so corrupt and all these things. So one time I asked one of the justices who became close to me, and then I said, "Did you ever try to ask yourself why you're born in this country?" You're complaining the country is corrupt. Why? Did you try to ask yourself why you were born in this country? So sometimes people don't really care about the root cause of the problem, why they find themselves in a particular situation. But as servant leaders, we understand that whatever we are passing through, yes, it's our karma, but we don't sit down there to say, "Oh, where is my karma?" And don't do anything to get yourself free. So community leader requires a lot of prospects, internalize what you need to do, and move ahead to do it to be able to create that sustainability of the community. Persuasion. This is a big thing. Because you may know what is good for the whole family, not what is good for the community, what service is good for everybody, all of the youths or members of your team. But how do you communicate that to convince them without seeming as if you are imposing your ideas on them? Even your own child. This is a strategy that people study in university. They study this in graduate school. Persuasion. If you are good in persuasion, your servant leadership will know no bounds. Because you could easily convince somebody with logic, reasonings, with evidence, facts, data. So you need to be broad-based. Because these days, and as a management scientist, we don't accept belief alone. Your belief should be backed with data. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult. Therefore, I go outside of the track to do some research based on scientific values, but then core content is Krishna consciousness. For instance, I conducted a research and got it published in 2021 in the International Journal of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering. But then, that research at the presentation at the World Academy of Science, Engineering, and Technology Conference on June 28, 2021, it received the Best Presentation Award. But you guess what that research is all about? It's all about how chanting Hare Krishna prevents financial fraud. Who told you education is not good? You can speak the language in a different way. You can speak the language in a different way and present the message according to a proper statement, Disa Kalapatra. So in that research, the theme of the research is Sonic Therapeutic Intervention for Preventing Financial Fraud. Sonic Therapeutic Intervention simply means the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, as explained in the research project. But then I was really damn surprised. Krishna is funny. Krishna is really funny because if you put yourself forward to be used, you could be used more than what you dreamt. I was surprised that I got a certificate from this organizer, the Best Presentation Award. I said, what? And then they had that research published in the International Journal of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering. Not in religion, not in philosophy. International Journal of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering. So Krishna can use any devotee servant leader to do amazing things beyond your expectations. It's a matter of understanding that you have to have the ability to persuade yourself to do some certain things. Before you go to persuade others, you should have self-persuasion. You should persuade yourself. with logic, reasoning, with data to be able to execute your services. Self-persuasion is an imperative factor. And it makes things very easy. Then you can move from that to persuading others to do services for Krishna. Conceptualization is another key element. The servant leaders, they think strategically and develop long-term plans while also remaining adaptable to changing circumstances. Sometimes, there are people who are maladjusted. The concept of maladjustment is there. And most of the problems caused in the world are people who are maladjusted. Maladjustment means I don't adapt to changing environment. No, I don't adapt. I just want to live a straight jacket. And when we live our lives like that, we will not be able to serve the purpose of servant leadership. A servant leader, we need to adjust ourselves to suit the purposes of others. I remember when I joined one temple in America in the beginning. That was in 2006. And this temple, one brahmachari there was so heavy. It was a guru call, you never want to call it, but very fast. But I heard it was very offensive. So one devotee who stays in that temple, he came to educate me. He gave me a class, almost like 2 hours class, just on that boy. How I should not get close to him. How this and how this. He's like this, he's like that. But I thought to myself, I'm going to stay with this guy in this temple. How am I going to do all the things that this devotee is telling me? Avoid him, don't let it, because he saw me in my room. So I thought, no, I will just adjust myself. And I had these skills when I was doing my studies in counseling, psychology and language arts. So there was this professor who taught us a course on psychology of adjustment. That course was so sweet. And I really enjoyed it because I can implement those principles in my life even till today. So I go to places and someone says, oh, this person is so difficult, don't get close to them. I say, okay, I hear you. Man, I'll get close. What I need to do is just to be able to adjust myself to suit their purpose. And we can become good friends. I remember one of my friends, he's late now. The whole of the community we are complaining about. I was the only friend he had. And then one day he was speaking with me and he said, oh, Vasudeva, that time we were young. He said, Vasudeva, why is everybody saying that I am bad? If I am bad, why you are my friend? Why are you my friend then? And so I told him that, listen, I have some skills that most people don't have. I can adjust myself to get along with you. Most of your devotees, they are not adjusted. So they can't adjust themselves to suit your purpose, and you are also maladjusted. You can't adjust yourself to suit their purpose. Here comes the conflict. So in most cases, we find out we are in conflict with people because we are maladjusted. And therefore, the servant leader has to be highly adjusted. Otherwise, you will send away so many people. Even with your own child, if you are not adjusted, it could be a problem. And so, this whole idea of remaining adaptable to changing environments is rooted in the psychology of adjustment. You can't buy it in a mall. You can't buy it in a mall. Therefore, you find people, they come together in the beginning, it's very juicy. Darling, darling, darling. Oh. And then in a short while, get out from my life. Maladjustment. So, let's go to the next characteristics. Healing. The servant leaders can create a space for emotional healing and support. See, sometimes people think servant leadership is just a simple thing. Oh, I'm a servant leader. That's I know that. No, it's a model in leadership, and it's so broad. There's an institution for servant leadership in America. In fact, Bhakti Vasudeva Swami, he also wrote about servant leadership in his leadership book. In fact, I had a PowerPoint.
That's one of the questions that actually answers my question. That's one of the things that answers the question. Because if a person cannot change, you're going to change them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Adjust, psychological adjustment. You have to be able to be adjustive.
If a person cannot change, you try, it's like a brick that you're trying to get through.
Yeah.
If you can't get through, then you're going to change.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. That's what I just said. Yeah.
So that person will automatically change.
All right. It wasn't that way. Because, you see, in most cases, even in relationships and in families, people have this conception. This is what I want. So they don't give a chance. I was speaking with, just a few hours ago today, I was speaking with one of my German aspiring disciples, and he had some difficulties. So I suggested this, and this. I said, okay, but what do you think? What is your opinion? So he was surprised. He wrote back to me that I'm surprised. He wrote to me surprised that you asking me, how do I think? Wow. You're my guru, you could just impose anything on me. But you asked me, I said, no. Look, I'm a decision scientist. I'm an applied management and decision scientist. We don't impose our ideas on anybody. Because no one is a blank slate.
That's sort of a motivation.
Yeah. So, it is important. We want to be servant leaders. It's a broad area in the management domain. Healing. Servant leaders must create a space for emotional healing and support for themselves and their team and the members of their team. Emotional support, emotional healing. We have sometimes our emotions have been so much struck and damaged by people we love the most. If someone really hurts you, if the person is far away, it doesn't hurt so much. And if someone is close to you and then they hurt you, it could be so difficult to pulverize that emotion. Sometimes people suffer for their whole life because someone close to them hurt them badly. So we should be in a position to see how we are creating some emotional healing, support partnership, give some emotional support when people have some problems. By being good listeners. Sometimes, even just by being a good listener to someone's challenges, you can help in emotional healing. But if you say you're too busy, how do you say you love someone when you cannot empathize with them? When you are not there to create an emotional healing when their emotions are hurt the most. So we need to give time to people. We need to give quality time to people and be there when they are in a problem. Don't call somebody just to get him to do service. Call people also to ask them how they are doing. I like telling stories because stories sometimes, they substantiate the facts on the table. So there was this guy in Michigan, again in America. He just finished his master's. I went to Michigan, and he got attached to me, so he was traveling with me to several places. We became friends. So I left Michigan and then went back to Washington, D.C. And then afterwards, I traveled out. I think I came to Africa or I was in India. I don't remember exactly, but I was away from the continent, from North America. Then I called him. Why did I call him? I called him because he's a friend now. I called him to ask how he's doing and all this type of thing. I didn't know that that impacted on him so much. So I went back to America and he sent me a ticket to come for the Ratayatra. I went for the Ratayatra, but I chastised him. I said, come on, why you have to spend your money? You're a small boy. You just started working and you spending your money to buy me a ticket to come. You could have told the temple management, they would have purchased the ticket. You just started working. Why are you spending the money for me? And then this boy, you know what he told me? He said, Maharaj, you don't know what you have done to me. I said, I did something to you? He said, yes. I said, tell me, what is it? He says, see, you were in another continent. A boy is originally from India. He finished his master's in America. He did his first degree in India, came to America to do his master's. He said, my parents, my mother and my father, they don't do what you do to me. They never had did what you did to me. You were in another continent. You called me up, not to ask me for money, for nothing. You called me to ask me how I was doing. I never had this experience in my life. He said, even my parents, they call me only when they need money. So I learned a lot from people, from interactions. And therefore, as a servant leader, try to form the habit. Avoid calling people to engage them if you refuse to establish a good relationship with them. Because they will think, oh, he just wants to exploit me. Oh, he's using Krishna as a facade to just exploit me. He doesn't care about anybody. He just wants to engage me in some service. I've seen people don't like this. See, one of my friends, I encouraged him to go finish to do a PhD program. And so it's been a long time. I spoke with him in India. So I have two personal assistants in India. And so one of them, a brahmachari, so he knows this guy. And then the brahmachari was needing a ticket to come to Delhi. He was in Odisha. He was needing a ticket to come to Delhi because he wants to meet me in Delhi. I was flying in from Switzerland to Delhi. So, but then I bought my ticket from Delhi to Mayapur or to Calcutta. So he needed a ticket to go to Calcutta. So then this guy, I messaged this guy that I'm coming into India, so he was excited. So I told this boy, my assistant, that maybe you should ask this boy can I ask him to buy the ticket? He said, Maharaj, no, don't ask him. If you ask him, it will seem as you called him because you want some money from him. Because these are the things that I share with all of them around me. Okay, so he understood and he reminded me, this is your principle, don't do it. So, if people see that we care for them, we love them, they will voluntarily want to do services, go outside of their comfort zone. They will stress themselves to do services for the community. All that we need to do is show them that we care, we love them. And service becomes the services will flow. Self-awareness. Servant leaders recognize their strengths and weaknesses and how their actions impact on others. If we are aware of what we do, what we say, how it impacts on members of our team or members of those friends around us, or even say in our family, what we say and what we do, how it impacts on the rest people around us, we become a little bit cautious. We censor ourselves about what we do and what we say. And I have this principle. I tell my mentees and my disciples, listen, if I say something you don't like, you tell me. If I do something you don't like, you tell me. So I tell you a story. So one of my disciples, she's initiated now, when she was schooling in Manchester, So she was at that time she was like 19 years old. She's a lawyer now. So at that time she was 19 years old. She sent me a message saying, "Mark, in my relationship with you, I don't want anybody in the middle. You have a message for me, you have instruction for me, you send it to me directly." I said, "I hear you. So be it." That is what I maintained practically till today. That was like 15 years ago. So then, one of the things I understood from this type of situation is that the Gen Zs and the Zen Alphas, they don't want anybody as a middleman. They want to deal with you directly. And this is one of the things why I don't want many disciples. I want some few people that we can form a family, we interact with, and then, we keep things going. Because I can't overly stretch myself. And my disciples also, they love that. In fact, often they remind me, must not get many disciples. So, self-awareness is important. What you do, what you say, how it impacts on people around you, it matters a lot. Sometimes parents lack this very quality. They say anything and everything, and sometimes they insult even their kids. I remember the case of one girl, 8 years old girl in Laguna Beach. I like telling this story because the father came to me to report himself. I went to the temple, Laguna Beach, to give a talk on, I don't think, Ramnami. And then, I've not even left the ashram. This guy came to me, and he told me his story. How he came back from work one day. He had an 8 years old daughter. He came back from work one day, and he started raining all type of abuses on this girl. Now, as a servant leader, you're not supposed to do this. You should be self-aware that what you say, the impact on people around you, could be devastating. So think of the things that will inspire and motivate people. So he rained all type of abuses on the daughter. The girl was very, very un-American. Un-American in the sense that is an assault. In America, your child has the opportunity to just call the police and put you to jail when you do those type of things. She didn't do that. She tolerated. She adopted Krishna's policy of tam titik seswa bharat. The tolerance is there. But let's see what this girl did. Did she just tolerate and allow the trauma to overwhelm her for the rest of her life? What the father did? No. Some days had passed. They were eating together. Father was happy. The girl was happy. The girl raised this issue. She said, "Dad, the other day when you came back from work, you did this to me. You did this. You did this. You did this. Did you have any fight with somebody in the office that day? Tell me." The father was so ashamed. 8 years old girl was so much self-aware. She tolerated. And now she wants to bridge the gap by bringing in something that is love provocative, but addressing the issue. She didn't want this whole trauma to linger on the system, on our system, on our consciousness for the rest of our life. Because what happens, if you deal with a traumatic situation, that you can navigate past it. If you allow it to sink down and accumulate all in the name of tolerance, then that's another problem. Because one day, someone in your family or friend will do a little thing and you burst out, the bubble burst. And then they will ask, "Wow, that small thing?" Things have accumulated over time. So the girl didn't want things to accumulate, trauma to accumulate in her system, and she looked for a suitable time to address it. That is how they were able to reunite with friendship and love. In fact, when he told me that story, I told him, call the girl to come here. So he called the daughter. So I told him to pay obeisance to the girl. Because that is not that is not an 8 years old girl. That system, if we use it in resolving deep-rooted conflicts, where someone hurts you, offends you, or does something really silly, and you just tolerate. Or a country comes to do something because it takes two people, two presidents, to insult each other, and then they resort to war. Innocent people are the ones who are going to die on the battlefield. The two presidents, they will not go to the battlefield. So in dealing with deep-rooted conflicts, one party has to tolerate and behave as if it is not hurting, but then later come to a common table and address it. That's what the girl did. A servant leader should be aware of what they say, what they do, how it impacts on people, and also should be able to address issues. They should not allow, a servant leader should not allow trauma to accumulate on his or her system by addressing issues. First, yes, tolerate, time to teach us about it. But you need to address these traumatic experiences as time passes. What is the time now? How much time we have spent so far? Okay, so we have how many more minutes? Okay. Did we start at 10:30? No. What time did we start? 10 to 11. I have a short period, a short stop here remaining, so let's see what we can do about this. Okay, thank you, Rohini. How servant leaders demonstrate these qualities? Lead by example. Lead by example. Empower others. 3, foster collaboration. Now, the collaboration, be careful. Be careful with collaboration. I can give you a personal story. When I was doing my PhD, we were doing a course titled Quantitative Reasoning and Analysis. And it was statistics, PhD level statistics. Okay. So there were about 10 students from the whole Faculty of Management doing that course. And so all the students, they collaborated. I didn't want to get close to the students because I have too many things to do. So I wanted to leave I always would deal with my own situations. Because I tried getting close to some of the students, and every little here and then someone calls you on the phone and say, oh, that's this and blah, blah, blah. And then they don't know I have a lot of things on my plate. So from there, I distanced myself from the students. And when we were doing that course, I didn't get close to any of these students. The rest of the students collaborated. And the professor, a white professor, he detected that there was a common ground in all of their works. In fact, those students were supposed to go on suspension or expulsion from the university because it violates academic integrity. So we are collaborating. Be aware that integrity plays a lot in institutions and especially in academia. Don't do the things. And sometimes you can really collaborate and paraphrase the things in different ways. Paraphrase the statement, your results in different ways. But in most cases, people, they think paraphrasing is just a difficulty. They just write it in down and pass it to the professor. And then the guy detected. So that's how they all failed that course. I was the only person who passed that course. And I got 90 plus. In America, if you're doing a PhD, 90 plus is A. If you get 75%, it's fail. So collaboration is good, but be aware that, especially when it comes to academic collaboration, be aware that you need to employ tools like paraphrasing and all these things to be able to create a new memo. Support group. The servant leader has to be supportive for the development of the team. We should have that sense of love and support for team members. We should sniff their challenges and be there to be able to help to foster growth. Care for people. So caring for people, I'll give you an example. So I mentioned this already. But then caring, I studied also what we call, in my master, we did a course called critical, creative, and caring thinking. So those are really good. Those are really good skills in dealing with people in the whole world. I think the difference between that course and devotional service is the Krishna factor. Otherwise, everything else is practically the same. So, in caring thinking, you're supposed to be available to help people, to care for people, to love people like your beloved loved ones. And so a servant leader needs to do that. Why? Because everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. Everyone is per se Krishna, is part of Krishna's family. So we have to show genuine concern for the well-being of our devotees around us, our family members, our friends, personally and professionally. So the source of all of these things that I'm talking about is from Greenleaf. Greenleaf is the person who developed the servant leadership model. He wrote some books on it. And then Bhakti Vasudeva Swami, he wrote 2 books on leadership. He documented so much of this servant leadership. And then there are a number of other scholars who have developed some courseworks and conceptualizations on servant leadership. But our Srila Vyasadeva, we see this servant leadership. It's all pervasive in the body of leadership. The life of all the great sages, Prithu, and all the rest of them, they provide for the needs of their community before theirs. So maybe there are some comments or some questions. Yes, please. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So you have a team, if I understand you correctly. You have a team, and one of the team members is not meeting up with expectations. Is that correct? Yeah. How do you help with that? Yeah. I just mentioned that last part of my talk here. Now we have to get close to the person. We should sniff, sniff that person. In other words, we should go close and then find out what is the difficulties they are facing in completing their job, or any difficulties that they may have, and we figure out ways on how to help. That is caring. Now, what happens in the material world is that people don't practice servant leadership, and so they wait for you to have some problem, and then maybe fire you. But if even we become top-notchers in management and companies and all this, servant leadership is very good because you stand out very extraordinary in terms of your relationship with workers, co-workers, and your subordinates and your bosses. And because people in general, they don't really care. They don't get close. They just do the official thing. No rapport with the people around them, so it's a problem. So we create some relationship with the people, with our team members. Then we can sniff about their challenges and be able to give some learning support. Maybe some other team member has some expertise in that very area, and you can ask them to support that person. So it all boils down to creating some good relationships in the team. Then we can go into their personal lives and their professional life to see how best we can help. Is some of my aspirations was have to look at their PhD dissertation.
Yes, as a leader, you should know the background of the people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you know what to be able to emotionally control it.
Yeah. So that emotional support should be there when people are having some lapses in their duty dispensations. Yes, any other comments? Thank you. What's your name? Prayer. Any other comments? Yes, Rohini?
I'd like to ask, sometimes when we're in our leadership role, we can be self-critical. And you mentioned about being self-aware. Sometimes we get into this loop of negative thought processes.
Yeah.
How do we manage and navigate through that in a healthy way?
Yeah. We should be we should have self-assessment and not necessarily self-critical. Because if you're self-critical, if you're critical about somebody around you, you think they will feel happy? No, no. People don't want to be criticized. Rather, they want to be patted, they want to be eulogized, and all these things. So, look at the things. Don't look at what lacks. Don't look at only your lacks, but look at also what you've achieved and pat yourself. Chinua Achebe, one novelist, he said that he talked about this lizard. When the lizard jumps down from the wall, it makes like this. It makes like this. So he explained that the lizard that jumps down from a high platform, he nods his head, but then the idea is that he looks around and says, "Oh, well, I did this great job, and no one is praising me. No one is giving me a like. Let me praise myself." So yeah, we should also look at our good qualities, okay? So that there's a balance. Then the things we find are lacking or incompletion, or we need to improve on, we should focus on that very seriously so that we can improve on that. Yeah. Sometimes it may not even be being self-critical, but we're critical about our own child. I'll give you an example. So I had a cousin. So this boy, he's a mathematician. And so I went to visit him one time. He had a boy who at the time the son was just preparing to go to the university. So they will have to do some entrance and get some 6 credits and all these things before they got admission to do any scientific course, medicine or whatever. So I went to visit him, and then I saw this boy. So I said, "So, what did you? How far are you going with your studies? Are you preparing to go to the university? What grade did you have in your high school final year?" So he told me something that was very touching. He said that he got like AAA, 7 subjects, AAA. And then English, which is compulsory, he must get a credit. He got P, he got a pass, no credit. And so that makes him ineligible to be able to go to do the course, then the best university that he wants to be admitted into. And then he told me when he told me how this was disturbing, that's why I encouraged him. I motivated him. I said, "Don't worry. You see, people hardly get 7 A's. You get 7 A's. Just shut up. Don't kill yourself." I said, "What you do is re-register only for English. And face it, you'll get another A here." You know what he told me? He looked at me. He calls me uncle. He said, "Uncle, why is your brother not like you?" He referred to his father. Then he told me how the father, chastised him days and days and days, completely demotivated him. I said, "See, don't compare me to your father. I have skills that your father doesn't have. Your father is a mathematician. Okay? So don't compare me to your father." And that's how I was able to pacify him. So sometimes we extend that self-criticism to our children. Instead of looking at the good things they've done and motivate and inspire them, we just wallop them and, send them to the drain with very bad mouth. So, bottom line, we should look at also the good things that we have done and capitalize on that, grow on that. Yeah. Any other last comment or question? Yes, please. No, you take, you go. No, you ask a question.
I wanted to thank you very much. I thought that this was exceptional. I don't think you should just have confined it to the youth. We should extend it. I want to find out, what if you find yourself in a situation where we have a leaders in devotional service that we are doing devotional service and we're working and doing it, that may not follow this core characteristics that you so eloquently told us, and be able to see it, but also, how do we adjust ourselves? Because obviously the service has to be done, and if it's not done, then we're not pleasing the Lord. So somehow we have to have that balance between, like, we can't necessarily set boundaries sometimes in the in a spiritual environment, because service has to be done.
Sure.
Our intention is like we have to please the Lord, so tolerate. But how do we actually resolve that?
Yeah. So, thank you. That is a very intriguing question, because this is something observable. Even in the companies, we have managers, for instance, that demotivate their employees. I'll give you a typical example is, say, I wrote one of the presentations I made at Oxford. One of those 5 presentations was on entrepreneurship. So it's just the abstract that I sent out to some of my friends and some professors, and there was this my personal assistant in New York. She has a doctorate in law. So she said, Maharaj, this entrepreneurship, this is exactly my boss. Entrepreneur is someone who takes the credit for the accomplishment of the employee. They don't let the management know that this person has excelled in this area. They tell the management, I did this. That is just a big pain for most workers, for virtually every worker. Because when you're an achiever or you got something done, at least recognition should be there. But in most companies, the managers are heropreneurs. So heropreneur is somebody, is a manager or a leader who takes credit for what the employer has done or what the worker has achieved. They don't let the people know that this is what he has done. He's a heropreneur. Now, if you observe that this person is a heropreneur, for instance, giving that example, which is not in conformity with the characteristics of a servant leader. And faith-based non-profit leaders should be servant leaders. Servant leadership is the model prescribed in the literature for faith-based organizations. I sometimes ask ISKCON people, some of the ISKCON leaders, what is the leadership model you adopt? They don't know. And sometimes we think we are servant leaders, but we are not. So, if you find that you have heard about all of this stuff, you are now skilled in this area, you are very much aware of the values, the characteristics of servant leadership, you may not find this in most people. But should you just confront them? No. No. You do your best by exhibiting those qualities. And you know what? Example teaches best. Instead of attacking somebody, you're not a good leader. You show that person that, look, you are the boss, you're supposed to do this, but I can show you how to do it. Without even saying a word. Actions speak louder than words. And sometimes the people who are intelligent, they emulate their workers. They emulate their team members. The leader emulates their team member. Why? Because a number of people understand that they don't know everything. And that's the essence of teamship. Teamship means you have your idea, you have your skills, your talent, and then everybody contributes. So yeah, some people will buy that. Be exemplary. Live by example, and other people will copy. Yeah. You're welcome. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. Also being quite beautiful. Also encountered those topic in, let's say, material studies, right? And one of the things they said in regards to empowerment was that people want autonomy, but in Krishna consciousness, it's obviously quite different in that we want to act together. But if you look at people, they want to be, we live in the age of I. So people want to focus on themselves. So like I wanted to hear a little bit more like, how I thought to approach it was like you look at everybody as having a niche, being able to contribute different types of service, different qualities, different skills, and you praise them for that. But that whole the reality is that most of us are still in that age of I. We have self, and we try to improve self, but that actually acts as a hindrance. How do what stories could we lean on? I know you told a lot of lovely stories today. What could we lean on where we have to work together, or all realizing that we all have that within us. We still want to be ourselves, but work better together. Because also when I was speaking earlier about you say to use those boundaries, but like sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes in the service thing, like Martin was saying, is that we're doing this in the service of the Lord, but you can't necessarily. It's difficult navigating conflicts with devotees, or if you express yourself, then someone is ready to say, oh, but you're being selfish, but they never reflect that. And we've had some unfortunate incidents where devotees become quite irate, and it causes tension. So how do we navigate that concept of everybody is trying, but we still have that sense of I am self, and I try that thing of okay, everybody brings different talents, and how do we get to handle this, especially in the spiritual
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. This is a very nice point. Now, when we understand that we are limited in terms of talent and skills, and that, yes, I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul, but I'm conditioned, and I still act as if I am this body. I remember some situations where the little girls will tell somebody, "You're supposed to control yourself. You're a senior devotee. No, you're supposed to control yourself." They burst. So when we are living in a community of devotees, we try to act in ways that we don't cause offenses. At the same time, there is a need for psychological safety. Psychological safety means that we should create an environment where people can air their views without being afraid of revenge and punishment. We are not slaves. I repeat, we are trying to be servants in Krishna consciousness. We are not slaves. So people should be given some opportunity to express themselves. And I do this, I'm not just talking, I do this to my own disciples. I do this to my students. So, essentially, people should understand leading in a non-profit, a faith-based non-profit, is the most especially leading a society like ISKCON, is the most difficult type of faith-based leadership. Why? Because in ISKCON, virtually everyone thinks that they know everything because they are devotees. So, so it becomes difficult for us to accept that Sometimes we act improperly, or sometimes we act in ways that hurt other people. Or sometimes we act in ways that are not in consonance with the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada says we are not his body. Lord Krishna says we are not his body. Vyasadeva says we are not his body. Now, how many people are able to act based on the fact that we are not his bodies? You go step on someone's toe and you see how they're going to react. Yes, so it becomes like, what do you call? Philosophy washing. Philosophy washing means that we say one thing in the philosophy and we experience completely different things. We say, we are not his body. We go step on some devotee's toe. And you see how, whether they are going to be proactive or they are going to be reactive. In most cases, they'll be reactive. But let's not be surprised about this. This is because we are conditioned. Now, Professor Pavlov, he made experiments on conditioning. And he conditioned a dog. He put the dog in a cage, rings the bell, bring the dog out, give the dog food. The dog became conditioned to food in relation to the ringing of a bell. Each time he rings the bell, the dog comes out, he will measure the salivation of the dog. But then, there was no food. He just rang a bell, the dog was salivating. No food. It just shows our conditioned nature. So it is very difficult. Conditioning is in our genes. We may speak very nice philosophy, how we are not these bodies, and all this stuff. Then we still act as if we are the bodies. Again, we don't point accusing fingers to people. This is due to our conditioning. So in psychology, Pavlov demonstrated how conditioning could be just a terrible disease. If someone has cancer and you keep blaming them, hey, you have cancer now, you want to die. That's not going to help you solve the problem. You have to take him to a cancer doctor or take her to a cancer doctor. There are cancer doctors these days. So, bottom line is that, yes, I recognize what you said, your concerns, and I would like to add that in some cases it's very difficult to deal with ISKCON people. I'm serious. In some cases it's very difficult to deal with ISKCON people.
You escalated.
Huh?
You escalated. What I'm saying, you escalated to someone that can
Yes.
lead.
Yes, you can escalate it. Yeah. But suppose you don't want to report. Suppose you don't want to escalate it. Yeah.
That's the only way you can solve it.
We have a good system. Sometimes our devotees don't know. He made a good point here. You can escalate that problem. Escalate that case. In other words, take it up. If someone is playing adamant, doesn't want to listen to anything, acting in their own ways, yes, you can. If you don't even want to escalate it, you can tell if someone is very close to them, like the guy I was talking about, because I got so many reports from devotees. They know I'm his friend. So they come to report to me how he's been abusive towards them and he does this, he does that. So then they felt that they don't want to go and report to the guru or to the GBC. Vasudeva is his friend. And because they also didn't know that I'm a very tough guy. I used to be a very tough guy in those days. And so they know that, he can tame him. He's his friend. Yes, but he can tame him. And I did. The guy changed when I spoke to him. You know how? I took him to a farm. And then we went for japa walk. I said, all right, let's go for japa walk. We went into the forest. And I sat him down in the forest, in a forest, dense forest area. So I told him all the things that the devotees. Then I told him all the things that the devotees are complaining about him. And at some point in time, I was so infuriated, and he felt my fury. I'm his closest friend. He felt my fury, and later I calmed myself down. So after addressing him, I asked him, tell me, what's your response? You know what he told me? This is a guy that everybody in the community was afraid of. He told me, Vasudeva, you are my friend. Whatever he said, I accept. That's how he took a U-turn in his behavior. Yeah. We need to get somebody who's close to the person who is so offensive to us. If someone is close to them and he has a good heart for them, they can help him. Sometimes even escalating it does not really help the person much. Because, the authority will just bombard him with this and this, or so really tell him all of his nonsense and all this. And those, they don't help. Except it comes from someone that loves them, that they know this person loves me. So the case of that, my friend, yeah, it's a typical example. I was rough with him. In fact, I was even ready for a fight if he wants to fight. But then, after all of my fury and all these things, he told me, Vasudeva, you're my friend. Whatever you say, I accept. So sometimes we need to take the matter up to people who are close to those people who are not acting properly. All right. Just in case you have other questions, Rohini has my contact information. Okay? I'm a liberal guy. You can always reach out to me. Okay? But for now, we have to. In fact, she suggested 6 hours of seminar. But I said, please, I'm not able to. I didn't schedule that because I have scheduled till November. And when I was coming to South Africa, my schedule was already given to me, and this is just coming in by the way. But I said, I'm a lover of young people, and I want to spend some time. But 6 hours, I don't think I'll be able to. So that's why we choose the 2 hours. So maybe next time when I come, I could plan very much strategically ahead of time, and we could have more time together. See, leadership is my specialty in the management studies. Management and leadership decisions, yeah, those are my specialties in academia. So you feel free to reach out to me. Anytime you have some need for clarification or whatever, yeah, feel free. But for now, we have to adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much, Rohini, for creating this opportunity for me to come to serve the devotees in a little way. But my point is, feel free. I'm very much available for devotees, and I remember the last time I came to South Africa was like maybe 10, 12 years ago. I used to come to South Africa almost every year, then I stopped coming for a long time. Yeah. So feel free. Hopefully that, things resume well and I can still be able to come in the future. Shila Prabhupada,